Good evening, Chief Justice. Good evening, Commissioners.
How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm also grateful to be here and excited that this process is quite close to its end.
We apologize to you for keeping you waiting until now, sir. We should be done by now according to our program.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, sir. Just to help you out of nervousness, you are a holder of a BA Law degree, Bachelor of Laws degree, and a Master of Laws degree. Am I right?
Yes, that is correct, Chief Justice.
And you got them all from the former Rand Afrikaanse University, now known as the University of Johannesburg.
That is correct, Chief Justice. My master's degree revolved around the unfair labor practice. I obtained that degree in the mid-1980s when the unfair labor practice was quite new to our law. And I got a particular interest in employment law then, and I've, yes, been in labor law almost exclusively for the last 25 years or so.
Yes, the title of your dissertation was The Influence of Unfair Labor Practices on Rights and Obligations Deriving from the Common Law Employment Contract.
That's correct, Chief Justice. I remember one of the... Yes. Sorry.
Yes, carry on, sir.
I remember one of the articles that were written in those days by prominent lawyers or academics said, the sacred cow has been tethered. So management prerogative was seriously curtailed by the protection against unfair labor practices.
Yes. And I take it that you based your dissertation on the then Labor Relations Act to the extent that it dealt with unfair labor. Was it unfair labor practice? There was something about unfair labor practice there. Remember that that concept was articulated by the likes of Additional Member Bulbulia, Landman in the early days.
That is correct, Chief Justice. I started my litigation career in the old industrial court.
Yes. Now, yes, carry on, sir.
No, so those names I know quite well, not personally, but I've had dealings over the years as a legal representative appearing in the various tribunals. Yes, I was also very academically interested earlier in my career in the sense that I wrote some academic comments. I haven't had time to do so in the last 20 years or so. Thank you.
Thank you. And you have spent almost the whole of your working life dealing with industrial relations, labor relations related matters. Am I right?
That is correct, Chief Justice.
Thank you. You've acted as a labor court judge. I have noticed that you've attached some judgments here. Am I correct?
That is correct, Chief Justice.
And is it fair to assume that you found it easy, given your area of speciality, to function as an acting labor court judge and to write judgments without delay?
That is correct, Chief Justice. It wasn't difficult for me to adapt to those circumstances. I have some 20 years experience as a statutory labor arbitrator, also referred to as a commissioner and a senior commissioner for the CCMA and various bargaining councils. So I think I must have written, I would say, over 1,000 of awards and rulings over a 20-year period. when I wrote my representations or my response to the comments from the various law bodies and sent it to this commission early in April, I did not have the numbers, but I have received some information in the last 2 weeks that suggests that of those many awards and rulings that I've written, 120 of them were taken on review of my Johannesburg commissioner work was taken on review, and one in the Western Cape. So according to my information, there's been, say, 121 review applications against my awards and rulings, of which 13 appears to be pending since 2016, of which 4 were withdrawn, and of which 6 have been successful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes. Okay, I hope I have helped you out of your nervousness. You seem to be much better now.
Thank you very much. Yes, Chief Justice.
All right, thank you. Colleagues, let me have the names of those apart from the JP and either Mr. Mkalipi or Mr. Lukele would want to put questions to Advocate Van Merwe.
Mr. Gogo, CJ.
Thank you. Judge President, over to you, sir.
Sorry, Singh.
Okay.
And Dodovu, CJ.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Judge President, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Mr. Van der Merwe, you now live in George. Tell me, do you do any labor court work at all? Because I'm in Cape Town and I've never seen you appear in the labor court at all.
Judge President, I moved to the Garden Route area in February of 2018. For the remainder of 2018, I remained a member of the Johannesburg Bar. I commuted regularly. I continued also to do my senior commissioner work. 2019, I resigned from the Johannesburg Bar and I joined the South Cape Society of Advocates. We are associate members of the Cape Bar. I've tried to expand my practice because there is, of course, no labor court building in that area. The closest is Cape Town and Gqeberha. But I've continued to receive briefs and I've continued to appear in Cape Town and in Johannesburg. But yes, the work has been less.
When last did you appear in Cape Town?
I appeared in Cape Town, it would have been in 2018.
And yeah, do you think doing work for the CCMA and writing awards is like writing a judgment in the labor court?
No, I recognize, Judge President, the difference in status and to an extent the...
Status has nothing to do with it.
I apologize, I couldn't hear you.
It's not an issue of status.
Yes.
I'm saying, do you recognize that that arbitration award and a judgment are vastly different?
Yes, no, they are different in the sense that the work the court does, I think, is to an extent a bit more complex. But I am faced very often as a commissioner with conflicting arguments, even conflicting judgments, precedents, and most of my awards are very, well, all of them are well reasoned, but I always do the best I possibly can to make the document look like a judgment in the sense of a proper arbitration award, reasoned and motivated.
Yeah, but that's not what the law requires, does it? That's not what the law requires, does it? I mean,
No,
the
no.
Labor Relations Act asks of you to do something quickly and with as little formalities as possible.
That is
Isn't that the
correct.
reason perhaps why more than 120 judge awards of yours have been taken for review? I mean, it occupies judges. 120 reviews would take over a month for a judge to deal with. So you keep a judge occupied for over a month to reviews which you spend time doing very thorough judgments. Whereas, don't you think if you had done short, good judge awards, which is what an arbitrator is required to do, maybe they might not have been so.
Judge President, my awards are not long awards. They're well written, well motivated. I take cognizance of different arguments as far as they are presented to me concerning the law or different precedents. And I don't waste time, Judge President. I do my work very quickly. I haven't had a late award in 20 years. I have to issue them within 14 days. They are succinct, but they are well motivated and well written.
Thank you. I also wanted to ask you, you're a counsel, you're an advocate. I found it quite surprising. I think you're the only candidate that I know in my years of sitting here in the commission, and I don't know what the other commissioners' experience is. You're the only one who hasn't been nominated by a practicing advocate or an attorney. You've been nominated by a co-commissioner, isn't it? By Timothy Boyce.
That's correct,
Yes.
Judge President.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Judge President. Is it going to be Mr. Mkalipi or Mr. Lukele?
Lukele. I don't know if
Over
Mr.
to you,
Mkele.
over to you, Mr. Lukele.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Just two questions, Advocate Merwe. You don't seem to have stuck to any job other than when you are self-employed. Is this a true statement or not?
Commissioner, I was employed early in my working life by different corporations or organizations. I soon in my life preferred to be self-employed, initially as a labor consultant. So I've worked, yes, for a number of institutions, but I was employed for periods up to 2 years, I think, and then became self-employed.
Yeah, that was my worry, that you didn't seem to stick anywhere at all, but that is all right. My second and last question would be, what role has the Constitutional Court played, in your view, in the labor market and in labor jurisprudence?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question fully, Commissioner.
The role that the Constitutional Court has played in the labor market and in labor jurisprudence.
Yes, the Constitutional Court have, of course, decided a number of important issues. For example, the labor broker issue. When I do my work, I make sure that I apply and decide matters on the basis of the labor laws, and of course, all of them subject to the Constitution. And the Constitutional Court is the Supreme Court. They decide these matters.